Welcome to Thinking About Our Thinking. I am Janice Eisenberg, a school counselor at Rock Terrace School.
And I'm Vaganek, a school psychologist at Rock Terrace School.
And we wanted to present this session on vocabulary for students pursuing alternative learning outcomes and their caregivers. We feel this is a really important topic because it allows the caregivers to have sort of a prescribed way of helping the students think about their thinking. We're going to talk about how can this lesson help my child. So first, identifying and monitoring our thoughts and feelings can lead to behavior change. These elements are the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy. And we have found that using these strategies in cognitive behavioral therapy have been very helpful for our students at Rock Terrace. When our students have the tools to identify and communicate what they think and how they feel, we can work with them to identify patterns, anticipate challenging situations, and correct misperceptions. We can empower our students to use strategies to feel calm and safe, solve problems, and express their thoughts and feelings in a communication modality that works for them. Caregivers provide critical support for students as they learn to express themselves, advocate, and solve problems. So our target audience is caregivers, and we are also hoping that this will be helpful for if teachers that are watching or other counselors and psychologists in working with students pursuing ALOs. We hope the vocabulary words and graphic organizers give your family some tools to use at home and in the community. The following slides are designated for our students who are ages 11 to 21, but you can adapt and use them with your child as you ask them about their thoughts and feelings and as you process different events and talk about problem solving. You may notice that we repeat concepts in a few ways and pair images with key words. Repetition of the concepts is very important for students learning, and you can apply these terms as you talk about your own thoughts, as you talk about feelings and actions that happen in your home during the day, or even events on TV shows or in movies, or after reading a book. So we're hoping that you'll be able to apply this knowledge and these new concepts to a lot of different situations when interacting and working with your child.
Here's our session agenda. First, we'll explain 4 vocabulary words. Next, we'll introduce the connection between situations, thoughts, feelings, and actions. Then we'll demonstrate how to use these words to discuss a scenario. Last, we'll share a graphic organizer to use with your child for problem solving. You may notice that this first, next, then, last structure might be familiar. Several of our special education programs or classrooms may follow a similar structure in their classes, or they may use another structure to sequence events. We find that setting up our students and children with clear expectations of what's going to be happening during the course of a lesson can be really helpful. It can help structure the conversation, help keep us focused, and just help students feel that they can anticipate what's coming next. So this also may be a structure that you borrow to use for events in your family life or in the community. Our thoughts, feelings, and actions are connected. Let's talk about what these words mean. What is a situation? A situation is when something happens. It could be many things. It could be a noise or a sound. A situation might be someone's words, or it could be some kind of event. People interpret or make sense of situations differently. How we make sense of a situation may change depending on how our bodies feel, our mood, our past experience, the people around us, or what supports we have nearby. The same situation might mean different things to different people. A situation might seem different to you on different days or at different times in your life.
Thoughts. Thoughts are the words or pictures that run through your mind. Thoughts are the things you tell yourself about what's going on around you. People have different thoughts about the same situation. Let's take a look at this illustration of the dog. People may look at this dog and think completely different thoughts. They may think, there's a dog that's not on a leash. They may think, oh, that dog looks like it will bite. Or they might think, I think that dog is so cute. And depending on your thoughts, that is going to impact your feelings and your actions. So understanding your thoughts and really focusing on them is very important for what comes after. Feelings and emotions. After our thoughts come a feeling or an emotion. Feelings come and go as different things happen to you. You might feel happy, sad, angry, and excited all in one day or even during one class. Some feelings are uncomfortable, and that is okay. Everyone experiences lots of different emotions. So we want to make sure that our children understand that these feelings and emotions are things that might come quickly through us and then go. And we want to try hard not to get stuck on a certain feeling. And also that some feelings are uncomfortable, and that's okay. We do not have to run away from them, but we want to identify them, talk about them, and then find ways to help inform our actions based on those feelings.
So what is an action? Actions are things you do or the way you behave or act. Sometimes you might hear people discuss behaviors in a model like this. We chose the word actions because we want to focus on the opportunity to make thoughtful, positive, helpful choices. Sometimes the word behavior might have some connections to discipline or choices that might not be positive. Actions might be the things you do or say. Your thoughts and feelings often have a big impact on your actions. For caregivers and staff, when we're talking about actions or behaviors, we try to avoid words like good or bad. Actions can mean different things in different situations. We want to focus on how our students can feel empowered when they share what they're experiencing internally with their thoughts and feelings, and then we can help build the skills to make actions that work towards effective problem solving. Sometimes actions might be behaviors that are safe or unsafe, expected or unexpected for the situation, helpful for solving a problem, or not so helpful. Again, when we're learning this vocabulary, our goal is to build awareness of the terms, be able to use the words to describe a situation, and work towards problem solving. Here's a summary page with the important words to remember. We want our students to have an understanding and awareness of situation, thoughts, feelings, and actions. And then know that those four concepts are connected. This picture shows us one way to understand the connections between a situation, our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. In reality, we know that these may not occur in a straight line. This may not be linear, and we know that an action may act as a new situation, and the process begins again. We're showing you the model in a line. We know sometimes the arrows might go back and forth. These elements will affect each other. You might see this model presented as a triangle. For our students, we want them to be able to use this as a graphic organizer to break these concepts down so that we can build an understanding that a lot might happen all at once, but when we can pause and reflect, it can help us feel calmer, safer, and more in control to make choices and solve problems. Thoughts, feelings, and actions can often happen quickly. It can be tricky to know what happened first.
Understanding the connection. Actions don't just happen. They come from our thoughts and feelings. When we understand our thoughts, we can understand our feelings. Again, we have these arrows here to help show the progression of what is happening and then what might happen next. Again, we talked about the fact that the arrows might go both ways, but this is another visual to think about what's happening after a situation, okay? When we recognize our feelings, we can use strategies to feel calmer and safer. When we feel calm and safe, we can make thoughtful choices about our actions. Changing our actions can be tricky. And if you understand your thoughts and feelings, it will make it easier to make changes to your actions and to recognize patterns. We wanted to provide some tools that you can use with your child. When talking about an event, you can use this graphic organizer to help your child break down the situation, what they thought and how they felt. And again, this may not be linear. They may first describe feelings, and then they may describe a thought or an action, and you can just fill this in as they're letting you know what happened. And then you can go through and look and see the connection between the situation that happened, what their thoughts were, what their feelings were, and then what their actions were. And then you can go through and try to talk about how you could possibly change the action by recognizing the thought and the feeling related to the situation. When we have a better understanding of the child's thoughts and feelings that came before the behavior, we can look for patterns. We can learn about situations that are stressful, skills that our child might need to build, or supports that we need to have ready for next time. So this is a way, this graphic organizer can serve as a way to process a situation and as a way for us to look for and identify these patterns and how to help our child in the future. Okay, so this is another example of a graphic organizer that uses the visuals from this lesson. So if you are going through this with your child, then they might recognize these symbols or as relating to the situation. So we just wanted to have two different graphic organizer options that you can use, and that might be a good tool for you in working through situations.
All right, let's use a practice scenario to see how we might apply this graphic organizer to help a student solve a problem. Ivan brings his lunch bag to the cafeteria and heads to the same table where he sat all of last year. This year, the cafeteria has many more students eating lunch at the same time, and a group of students are at his table. Ivan doesn't know these kids. They aren't in any of his classes, and they look older than him. The room is noisy. Lots of people are talking. All the tables nearby look full. Ivan's muscles tense. He slams his lunch bag down, puts his hands to his face, and yells. A teacher comes over, walks with him to an open seat near the entrance. So, if you were going through this practice scenario with your child, you might have to do some modeling, but you might start with some open-ended questions. So, what's the situation? What's going on here? If that question's a little bit too open for your student right now, you could offer some choices. You might say, are they in the classroom or the cafeteria? Oh, Ivan is in the cafeteria. And there's new students sitting at his table at lunch. So what do you think Ivan is thinking? Here we might have to make a good guess. We don't know exactly what he's thinking, but we might be able to imagine the room is noisy, there's unfamiliar students at his table, lots of the other tables look full. So he might be thinking, why do things look so different in the cafeteria? What do I do next? How's Ivan feeling? We can look back in the scenario for clues, and you can offer choices. Does Ivan feel comfortable? Does he feel nervous or something else? And you might draw the conclusion with your child that maybe Ivan's feeling frustrated, maybe he's feeling confused, maybe he's even feeling angry. What actions come about as a result of this situation and Ivan's thoughts and feelings? So we know that his muscles are tense. Then he slams his lunch bag down and puts his hands to his face and yells. Then we do know that when some support is provided, a teacher comes over, then Ivan's able to walk to an open seat near the entrance. That's one example of how you might use this graphic organizer to talk about what happened in the situation. You could also imagine with your student, what if we help Ivan think about the situation differently? You might imagine Ivan having practiced, the cafeteria is going to be busier and noisier. Here's my plan. Then Ivan might think, I'm ready. I feel a little uncomfortable, but I know what to do. And then you might ask your student, how are the actions different in the end?
Okay, here's practice scenario 2. On a CBI trip, Grace brings $20 so that she can buy lunch at a fast food restaurant and pick out something at Target. Grace is excited for the trip and sits with a friend on the bus. She hops off the bus and goes straight into the restaurant, leaving her bag with her money on the bus seat. Grace gets to the counter, orders her food using her communication device without any prompts or support for the first time. But then she realizes her bag is missing. She walks away from the counter and puts her head down on the table. Staff get her bag off the bus and offer it to her. But at this point, she's shut down and doesn't respond. So you can use this graphic organizer to go through the situation and see what happened. You can ask your child if they've ever been to a restaurant on CBI. CBI is the community-based instruction where students go out in the community to different locations and practice skills that are hopefully going to increase independence. So you can see in this scenario that there were many opportunities for Grace to show her independence and her skills. So you can ask your child, what do you think the situation was? Where was Grace and what was happening to her? So let's look. The situation is that she left her bag with money on the bus. And then what is Grace thinking about? How do you think that impacted the scenario and what happened? So your child, I don't know what to do next. Grace is not sure what to do. She knows she wants her food. So her thought is, I don't know what to do next. And then she could be having a lot of feelings. You can ask your child if they've ever forgotten something or lost something that they really needed. And how did they feel? And then see if their feelings match how Grace felt. Let's see how Grace felt. She felt stressed, overwhelmed, and embarrassed. And those feelings are very normal for that situation. And that's really important for us to make sure that we let the students know that feelings are okay. It's how we act after the feelings. So what was Grace's action? She walked away, shut down by putting her head down, and no response. So it would be interesting to ask your child what their action might have been, or maybe what they could do in that situation. So this is just one scenario or the two scenarios that we provided, but these are really important ways to practice using this graphic organizer and this tool to help your child work through different scenarios and different situations that might happen during their day.
All right, let's end our time together by talking about some of the modifications and supports you might try with the graphic organizers and the model that we shared with you today. As you heard in some of our examples, not only can you offer an open-ended question, but it's really powerful to offer choices. As you're processing an event with your child, asking, I wonder if you feel sad, disappointed, mad, or something else. We really like to add that other option at the end, something else. So we can't always anticipate exactly how our children are feeling or what they're thinking. It can be helpful to pair words with pictures, or for some students, using only pictures might be the most powerful tool. The pictures that you saw in our presentation today came from a Chrome extension called Google Read and Write. That's a tool that's available on all of the MCPS student Chromebooks. And if that's something that might be helpful for your child and you haven't used it before, consider reaching out to their case manager or another support at school to see how you might be able to access Google Read and Write to use their picture dictionary for images. Another modification or support you can provide when you're talking through a situation. Provide a visual with sentence starters. So when blank happened, I thought, I felt. Having those sentence stems can really help students organize their language and communication. This is true for verbal spoken language, for typing or printed language, and it helps organize thoughts for images as well. If your child uses low or high-tech assistive technology, making sure that's available when you're processing an event can be really helpful. If you have questions about assistive technology for your child, contact your child's case manager or team at school. Practice using the vocabulary and tools when your child is regulated and available. This is great to use for positive situations too. There are a few references that we considered when we were pulling together our presentation, specifically the cognitive model that you saw today, the linear model with the images. If you want more information about the cognitive model, you can go to the website. And as a reminder, most of our picture dictionary images are from Google Read and Write, which can be a great tool for you and your student. Last, if you'd like a copy of this presentation, you can scan this QR code now with the smartphone camera. It'll bring up a link and it'll take you to the slideshow for today. You may consider printing out the blank graphic organizers that have text or pictures. You could even go through this lesson with your child, perhaps a few times, to practice the vocabulary. We appreciate your attendance to our session. We hope this provides a few tools that might be beneficial for your student at school, at home, and the community. And we wish you a very safe and healthy school year.